So much radio to do in such a little bit of time. Guys, I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. This is the Psycho. It's a Connecticut that I do smoke from time to time. And look at that. From Flederman Von Riest, that is the Rudin record. That is their chronograph. And you can get yours at Von Riest, R-I-E-S-T-E, vonriest.com. Just use promo code Katz and get your discount. Much to get to. I feel like I'm kind of repeating myself today with a couple of things that I'm talking about, but trust me, go to vonreese.com, get your watch. Let's start the show, shall we?
One of the things that you touched upon, the anger at the town halls from ordinary Americans, suggests to me that they have a keen understanding that when you start violating due process for any human beings, even if they are not a citizen, that threatens all of us. That threatens.
Mara Gay, editorial board of the New York Times, does not have a single clue of what she is discussing here. You think the disruptions going on at town halls are about people on the political right? We see you. You can't pull this stuff on us. We've been through this already. We know, Mara Gay, that you are a liar. Now, maybe I'm saying that wrong. Maybe you actually believe it, but we don't believe you. Believe the New York Times as if somehow it holds a place in our heart? Do you think it's the old gray lady still, all the news that's fit to print? The official record of the United States? Oh, that day has come and gone, Mara. That day has come and gone. We have no part of that, no want of that. We are not interested in that. We don't buy that. We are not picking up what you're laying down. We ain't buying what you're selling. We know that's not true. That is a vestige of yesteryear, and that yesteryear is long gone. Tony Katz. Tony Katz Today. Good to be with you. 833-GOT-TONY, 833-468-8669, 833-GOT-TONY. The live stream taking place at YouTube, Twitter X, Facebook Tony Katz Radio, Twitter X, YouTube Tony Katz. Find it right where it is. We are not in a constitutional crisis because of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. You want the story to be that, but it isn't that. And if you missed my conversation, some of you, it's coming up with Griff Jenkins. I spoke with him earlier. I'll bring it to you now. Oh, we get into this in great detail, but get back to the fear-mongering and get back to the so-called intellectual prowess here that MSNBC is trying to display.
The entire system. And I'm encouraged by that as well. But Kilmar Garcia, I hope that Trump has miscalculated. And to your point, Mika, there's some evidence that maybe he has. But what concerns me even more, though, is if this is not a constitutional crisis, what does a constitutional crisis then look like? And
a constitutional crisis looks like Joe Biden in the last 2 years of his presidency. Can I help you? It looks like a man who was completely incapable of being president of the United States, unaware of where he was, wandering around, being led by the Easter Bunny, meetings being led by his incapable wife, Dr. Jill Biden. I said incapable and I meant it. Certainly unelected, certainly not Senate confirmed, Dr. Jill Biden. She's no Eleanor Roosevelt. That signifies a constitutional crisis. The argument that Mara Gay is making here is that the Supreme Court said you have to effectuate, you have to facilitate the return of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Well, how in the world do you expect him to do that? Can't do it. And the guy's an El Salvadorian citizen. We remember that, right? This guy is from El Salvador and came to the United States illegally, something that this group of people refuses to acknowledge. They're so desperate to make this about Trump is going out there and just grabbing Americans and throwing them in an El Salvadorian jail. This guy's not an American. This guy broke the law. We know this. He was set to be deported. And then another judge said, well, you can't send him back to El Salvador. He has a credible fear for his life. Credible fear for his life. Not that. You can't have somebody having a credible fear for their life. That whole conversation led to a fantastic back and forth that took place on CNN. Once again, Scott Jennings is doing the work. Seemingly the only guy doing the work. Well, there's us. There's us and there's Scott Jennings, except I'm not on CNN. Although the deal still stands. Midnight to 2 a.m., I will take the spot that Jim Acosta refused to take. He was too good for it. No. I'll take that right now. The ratings will be through the roof. But let's make sure we understand where we are with this guy, this argument, and the left's insanity, because I want to put it to bed. This was Scott Jennings doing Scott Jennings things.
If this president and this administration can accuse somebody of being a terrorist, then accuse any one of us of being a terrorist and do with us what they will. There's due process that exists in this country for everybody. And the fact that this man had received no due process, he was effectively disappeared to a foreign country, a country which he came from, which he was basically got
It's
asylum.
not a foreign country. He lives there.
Excuse me, no, he does not live there.
He's a citizen of El Salvador.
Scott, excuse me, he got asylum in this country.
He's a citizen.
Scott,
does he have asylum?
Excuse me, let me finish.
No, he doesn't.
No, it's not that he.
Okay.
Sorry, it's not that he got asylum. He got a judge to say that he could not be rendered
Does he have
back.
a deportation order?
Excuse me, he could not be. Can you let me finish? He could not be rendered back to El Salvador because he was at risk of being harmed in El Salvador. That is what a federal judge. That is what a federal judge.
By who? No, who was he at risk of?
Excuse me. That was what a federal judge said.
He could not be deported.
He could not be. Who could he be at risk by? I don't know.
A rival gang.
No. Excuse me, not Scott. Excuse me, stop. Do you really believe that this guy's an MS-13 member? Because
I've got two heads of state telling me that they believe it.
Oh, okay. Your heads of state.
Let
Okay.
me
Barack Obama
let me
said
address
that.
what's
God, he's good. He's so good. And he has figured out that his job is not to engage the person. And then this is what I love, because I am a huge believer in this. A reminder that when you are engaged in a heated debate, you are not trying to convince the person who is yelling at you. You are trying to connect with the people who are watching it happen. The person involved in it, in this case, a woman by the name of Julie Roginski, I think that's how I pronounce her last name, a Democratic strategist. They're all strategists. When do I get to be a conservative strategist? Because I'm assuming that gets you paid. She is getting more and more agitated. She is not getting the facts right. She just expects everybody to go along with it because everyone always does. But Scott challenges it, and she has to now deal with it. She's getting more agitated. Scott looks into the camera and gives like, he's got this like side eye thing, and it's basically, if you're watching the live stream, I'm doing it right now. He goes like this. Like that's called pulling a Jennings. When you just look out at where the camera would be, and you're just like, come on now. That's what he does, because he knows who he's talking to. Is this guy an MS-13 member? I don't know, but he does have two heads of state, Bukele and of El Salvador, and President Trump saying yes. And certainly there's an argument about him being aligned with, connected to. And in any case, there was a deportation order. And then a judge said, you can't deport him to El Salvador. That's what happened. That's what took place. What matters here in this whole conversation is not the facts for the left. It's what they can do with them. And the objective here is try desperately to build a traction that will get them an opportunity for 2026. We all understand that this is all about something political, engaging in fear. Look at what Trump's doing. This is a little more complicated. And you've heard me. You heard me as, by the way, thank you for the note. That is right. 2 judges found him to be an MS-13 gang member. But I'm not sure if they said gang or having some connection too. Now, it is a distinction with a difference. I'm just saying that I would just go over the link, just make sure that I'm right. I don't want to be a guy who's wrong on that part of it. But that part of it, we should agree, is a smaller part of it. The larger part of it is that the political left wants to use this for a victory for 2026 by claiming that Trump is unhinged, Trump is disappearing people, a la what China does, and we don't have a rule of law, constitutional crisis. The left always overplays their hand. Always, always, always. Everywhere, every moment, every time. They cannot control themselves. They can't do it. Take a look at just these first 100 days. They have had opportunities and they have not been able to capitalize because they're so busy trying to figure out who's in charge. So here you have this story that the media desperately wants to gain ground on. Look at what Trump has done. Look at how his deportations are hurting the American people. Oh, this poor mother and wife who's now been left alone. They did not care if any mother or wife was left alone because their husband, their spouse, was locked in a cell regarding January 6th when they did nothing wrong. The January 6th comparison is going to be pretty funny here. Because now what the Democratic Party is doing is saying, we need to go down to El Salvador and demand this guy's release. You're going to do what? Oh, yeah, Chris Van Hollen, and now you're seeing members of he's a senator from Maryland. This guy lives in Maryland, so he's a Maryland man. He's not. He isn't. He is not a Maryland citizen. He's not an American citizen. But Chris Van Hollen is going to go protect his citizens, whatever that means, and he's going to head down to El Salvador and demand his release. And now you've got members of Congress who are going to go down to El Salvador and say that an El Salvadorian national connected with the gang MS-13 should be allowed to return to the United States. That's something. That is something else. That's the visual that the Democratic Party is now going to put into America's head for 2026. That's remarkable and perfectly par for the course. This is who they are. They overplay their hand. They can't get out of their own way. Not a single one of these Democrats have ever said, we're going to stand up for homeless veterans. Where is that? And a media story and everything else. They're going to stand up for the illegal immigrant connected to gangs. That's who they're going to say, bring back. Well, the Supreme Court said bring back. Now, I made the argument here. You heard me say it. I am on the radio tape. I am on the videotape. All of a sudden, I'm Warner Wolf. I am clear. I believe that Trump's best move is to take this guy, Abrego Garcia, and bring him back to the United States. Why? And I said this, it was yesterday, the day before. You bring him back. You don't let him go home. No. This guy is a criminal. And you find another place to deport him to. Deport him somewhere else. Now, that leads to a whole series of conversations about whether or not there's another nation that would take him. This leads to really an incredible dissertation by Professor Margot Cleveland. Margot Cleveland, I've had on the show before. She's fantastic. Good Lord, she is bright. And a super wonky. What she stated was that the idea of returning him and the Supreme Court saying you have to return him has an issue. Because the guy in question, Abrego Garcia, His first name is Kilmar Abrego Garcia. He's an El Salvadorian national. You see, when we send people from Tren de Aragua, that's a Venezuelan gang, to El Salvador, it's a contractual relationship between El Salvador and the United States to house these people. It's a contractual obligation because we can't send them back to Venezuela because Venezuela won't take them, but they're criminals. And El Salvador said, we'll take that deal. And they house them. In the case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, he's already an El Salvadorian national. There is no financial relationship taking place here. He broke the law, possibly there and certainly here. El Salvador said he goes to jail. That's El Salvadorian law. The Supreme Court can't tell the El Salvadorians how to handle their legal business. Now, I argue that if the president of the United States says, hey, I need this guy and here's why, he'll be on a plane and back. But what if there was another nation willing to take him? This was my argument. All of a sudden, yesterday, Scott Jennings, CNN.
Immigrants.
And it's becoming
in this
normalized.
Can I
That's
ask the question of you two, since you're so passionate about this? If the United States brought Garcia back, would you support the administration arresting him and sending him to another country that would have him? Because I don't think there are many that would. Yes or no?
I would support if he had due process and that were the case. Yes.
Well, then
you should.
Well, he's already got a deportation order. So you're saying that when he comes back and Donald Trump sends him to Gaza, you're going to come on and say this was great.
Why would he go to Gaza?
I don't know. You tell me who's going to take him. You think France is going to take him? I don't know.
Look, we got to leave it there. But you know,
We don't have to leave it there, Abby Phillip. That's the argument. We made it. If there's another country, they'll take him, send him there. The order of 2019 said he couldn't be deported to El Salvador, which is nuts to begin with. And I don't think the Bondi Justice Department worked hard enough on this. I mean, I think there's some real issues here. But I think Trump has a huge win by saying, okay, come back. We'll send him over here. And I do think that's the way he should do it. I'm on record. What are these people going to say when another country says, we'll house him? Bye, Felicia. They don't even want you to know that he's got a deportation order. They don't want you to know that he's here illegally. What the left is saying to America, because just like Mara Gay's nonsense comments about constitutional crisis, we see through this. They support the illegal immigrant more than they support the American citizen, the American way of life, and America. Best of luck in the midterms. I'm Tony Katz. Guys, welcome back. Tony Katz today, a little bit shorter of a stream today. And then over the next couple days, I've got a couple days off. I've got a big event that I'm doing in Kokomo, Indiana. Trump and American Reset and 3 bourbons. I got a couple hundred people coming out to drink bourbon, smoke cigars, eat some incredible food, and talk about Trump's first 100 days. I've been doing these one-man shows, and we will come to you. If you would like to have us come out to where you are, we'll work out the sponsorship. We'll come out. We'll do the whole performance. Spectacular time. Happy to do it. If for those people who are going to miss this one, that's all right. We're working on the summer plan, and then November 5th. So hold on to your stuff. November 5th is going to be surreal. Summer is going to be a lot of fun. A little more intimate, a little more personal on that one. The November 5th is going to be it's just going to be nuts. It's going to be the kickoff to the holiday season. It's going to be that good. Going to be that good. Meanwhile, glad you guys are here. Appreciate the comments. Lafayette, I should come Purdue way. He means West Lafayette, which is in Indiana, where we are heard on. Does the Patriot carry my weekend show? Which is weird because the Patriot used to carry my show, and then I stopped doing the syndicated show, and then I brought it back, and they were like, "Yeah, we already filled the spot," and I said, "Yes, but I'm here," and they said, "Tony," and I said, "I hear you." So very, very lovely people over there. I would come to Lafayette. Find the sponsorship. We can make the rest happen. What's that, producer Landon? 30 seconds. Back to the radio show. Not a problem. We will take the music in 5. Coming back to the radio show, guys. Glad you are here. Be sure to follow in all the places. I'd appreciate it. So you've got the market a little unpleased, which is interesting because sales were up. Retail sales up 1.4%. That is greater than the expectation. But NVIDIA, which announced a $500 billion investment into the United States, they're saying that there's a fair amount of uncertainty going on out there because of the tariffs, because of what's going on with China. And if you're utilizing China to produce any level of your semiconductors, any level of the chips to make your boards, things are not easy. So technology stocks are down, a 7% drop midday. I'll just say midday, depending on when you hear this, in NVIDIA, which has led the way. I mean, these are the chips doing the AI and everything else. Led the way. If you invested in NVIDIA all those moons ago, life is good. I did not. Thus, radio. By the way, you know I love this stuff, right? Like, what a gig. What a life. I smoke cigars in a studio I built and get to talk to you every day, and they pay me. Please don't think I ever forget that for a moment. But right now I'm interested in your 401k and your other investments, and this is not something making anybody happy. And this is bringing the rest of the market down. And this could just be one of those things, and the market will shake it off in the next couple of days. The question is, have they stabilized from tariffs? And the answer is, I don't know. I'm Tony Katz. Not kidding. I don't have the answer there. But I did come across somebody sending me an email about some great deals on some rare cigars, and these are not great deals. These are not great deals. This is the price. I'm used to this price, so I don't know what they're doing. If you send me the Opus X Society cigar, which I have not tried yet, it's $130. And to Opus X Society, bravo, well done. $130 cigars. My cigar will not be $130. Yes, by the way, that is happening. Two things are happening this year. Three. We've got a barrel pick that I will be doing in the beginning of May that we'll be getting out there. I don't think we'll have it out for the Indianapolis 500, but we'll have it out for Father's Day. I think that's more of the plan, to have it out for Father's Day, a perfect Father's Day bourbon. And then I have asked myself whether or not I want to start a bourbon brand. I've been through this now a bunch, and my answer is no. I don't think that's the smartest play. I think rather it is who it is that I work with, who it is that I like, and I enjoy what they do, and say, hey, how do we work together? By the way, Libertarian Dragon, that's $130 a stick. And I want to be clear, I have paid $130 a stick before. Oh, I have. Very rarely does it meet up to $130. Very, very, very rarely. And I'm not even going to dignify this, Pete. I'm not even going to dignify your Swisher Sweet nonsense. Dare you? Bourbon is a very, very peculiar market right now. Very much on a downswing after the COVID boom times. And it has to do with patterns, a whole host of things. I don't think I want to get into the bourbon business on the distillery side at all. I think I want to work with people and say, hey, I think if I took this and I took this and created this blend here, we could do a run, 1,000 bottles, and we can come up with a name connected with you, but by Tony Katz. And that's what I'm doing. So I that is coming. The cigar, I'm willing to take the full on venture into and start the brand. I've been wanting to do this for a while. I have been very much kind of questioning who I want to do this with. This is the year of, it's time to get some samples from some people and make a decision. And there's a couple of really great people out there that I like and I want to work with, and we'll see if it works out to what they do and the kind of tobaccos they have and the production capability they have. I do think it's the kind of thing I would start in Indiana, but be able to then sell online. So Indiana retailers and then online ways, find that organization that I want to do that with. I don't know if it'll be exclusive or not, but that's happening. And that price point, I would like to keep at $20 or lower on the cigar, which means you got to, certain things you can't do. Bourbon, I'm at a higher price point for reasons. But anyway, that's what I'm doing. Let's get back to the show right here. It's anxiety. It's allowing oneself to be worked up for no reason. People who are desperate to be angry, people who are desperate for attention. What else could I say regarding this commentary of Chris Columbus, the director of Home Alone 2, who has stated, I would really love to edit out Donald Trump. To watch people be this broken is something amazing. Tony Katz today. 833-468-8669. 833 got Tony. That's how you get to be a part of the program right there. It's super easy to do. Just call in. Happy to talk to you. He actually said these words, that if he could, he would get rid of it, because Trump in Home Alone 2, 7 seconds on screen, by the way, giving Macaulay Culkin directions. It's become this curse It's become an albatross for me. I just wish it was gone. Good Lord, man. That's a lot of drama queening right there. It's become this curse. And he goes on to say, I can't cut it. If I cut it, I'll probably be sent out of the country. I'll be considered sort of not fit to live in the United States. So I'll have to go back to Italy or something. Why don't they ever go to Somalia? Why is it Italy or Canada or the UK? How come no one ever says, I'm going to Kazakhstan? Why in the world are you bothered? And then, of course, it's the story. We paid the fee, but he said, if you want to use the plaza, the only way you're going to do it is if I'm in the movie. Sounds like a perfectly Trump thing to do. And by the way, Trump's scene in Home Alone 2 is fantastic. It's a great, great, great movie. And here's the quote. Here's the key quote. So we agreed to put him in the movie. And when we screened it for the first time, the oddest thing happened. People cheered when Trump showed up on screen. Because A, wow, that's cool, it's Trump. And B, Trump, cultural icon. Only these leftists decided he was terrible and awful when he ran for president, not as one of them. Before that, they were hanging out and taking pictures and golfing together, and he was showing up at the Clinton weddings and everything else. And him and Al Sharpton were like, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing? It was a whole thing. And now he's like, oh, I'd love to cut it. People are weird. People are weird and have a tremendous amount of free time. And they are desperate to be angry. They're never so happy as when they are angry. I will give you something that I'm angry about. Why would Steve Witkoff, the envoy for President Trump, who has gotten hostages back, who has helped put together at least that first stage of a deal between Israel and Hamas, can we just destroy Hamas already and destroy the Ayatollah, get the hostages back, go about living our lives? Can we create the Trump Riviera, please? Could that be done? It'd be better for everybody. Why is he saying that Iran can enrich uranium? Witkoff, as the Wall Street Journal reports it, backtracking on comments saying that Iran could be allowed to enrich uranium at low levels in a new nuclear deal with Trump. Now saying that Tehran would have to abandon its enrichment program. A deal with Iran will only be completed if it is a Trump deal. Iran must stop and eliminate its nuclear enrichment and weaponization program. Two things there. First, the first two rules of Trumpism always apply. The first rule of Trumpism is Trump wins, and the second rule of Trumpism is a deal can always be made as long as it adheres to the first rule of Trumpism. Ta-da! We put that together in, I think it was 2016 or 2017, and still holds true. If you hear anybody else using it, Tony I get the credit. Me, I get the credit right there. On that one, that came from this brain. I want that. But on Monday, he's talking on Fox News saying they don't need to enrich past 3.67%. This is going to be very much about verification on the enrichment program and then ultimately verification on weaponization. What would make you think that this is rational? Why would he ever say it? Why would it even be floated? There is no argument. Iran gets nothing. They get zero. Un Gott. Why would anybody think that it's all right? As long as we are dealing with these horrific progressives on college campuses and the ignorant professors who egg them on and coach them. Let us, if they're going to be angry by all things, let them be angry. Let's make the move. Let's put an end to this madness. Now, putting an end to this madness goes against Trump's run for president. He's the guy of peace. He's not going to lead us into wars. He's not going to do this and he's not going to do that. We're dealing with real life. Not what you want, but what is. Here's what is. No one is better off. No one is safer with the Ayatollah in power. You need Iran to have elections. Iran may never be the United States, but it doesn't have to be the United States. It just can't continue to be this funder for an Islamist hellscape. They have to be stopped. It is now. You know the expression now or never? I don't know about never, but it is now. Let's go. Let's put an end to the Ayatollah, the mullahs, the hardliners, the clerics. Let's end the funding of these organizations. Let's destroy every last member and everybody associated with them and actually have a peaceful society. Now, it won't be at Columbia University or NYU. That's because we've got a mayor and a governor who will not arrest these people, but we do have a president totally willing to deport those who are here on a student visa. Just like Witkoff, how in the world could you think that Iran could have any enrichment? Of course they're trying to build nuclear weapons. Lord only knows they've already got something in the works or something that's there. Thank goodness for the Israelis and Stuxnet, and thank goodness they're willing to fly these missions where they completely wipe out a nuclear facility. Good on the Israelis for that. The world thanks you. Why would Witkoff think that any part of this is all right? Why would he think any part of this is allowable? But as long as we are making people, solving problems and dealing with the people who get angry for all the things, let us not concern ourselves with those who get angry on a college campus. And let us deport the student visa holders who think it's okay on an American campus to side with a terrorist organization. If you see people being worked up, I can't believe they're doing this to those with student visas. What about what the people with student visas are doing? Doesn't that part matter? And they say no. They're like, that part doesn't matter. Part of our next moves. I talked about this event that I'm doing tomorrow, Trump and American Reset and 3 bourbons. The real story here, this isn't just about Trump. This is about us. This is about taking advantage of an opportunity while it exists. And the thing that most frustrates people on the political right, whether they be populists or whether they be conservatives like myself, whether they be part of MAGAville or just MAGAville adjacent, like they live in the suburbs, is Republicans who say, we're going to do this and we're going to do that, and then they get into elected office and then they don't do nothing. I go back to Pam Bondi. Where the hell are the Epstein files? I don't know. I don't know why this is like hard. Let me be even more direct about it. I don't know what the hell the Attorney General Pam Bondi's doing, but I don't have the Epstein files. So clearly whatever she's doing doesn't matter. It's getting in the way of the thing that matters, which is the Epstein files. Who was connected to Jeffrey Epstein? Who went to the island? Who was on the plane? Who was out there engaged in sex with children and the trafficking of young girls for sex? And when do we throw them in jail? I don't want to hear anything from Kash Patel. I want to like him. Met him once before, did the interview, really appreciated it. I want the Epstein files. You know what I don't want to see? You at a hockey game. I don't care if you are in a suite with Wayne Gretzky. Must be a dream come true for you. But I want the Epstein files. I want to know. And then I want people frog marched into a courthouse. And I don't care if they have an R or D after their name. I don't care if their last name is Trump or Clinton. I am not going to sit idly by while people were allowed to forcibly abuse children, sexually abuse children, and somehow think, forget about it. Maybe it did. Maybe you don't need to know. You know, you need to know you're not being loyal to Donald Trump. Oh, shut it. I want what I want. People have been voting for Republicans for years. Want what they want. They want the action. So this is not just about an American reset from Trump. This is ours. This is ours as well. And I think a great place to start this is with an end to the Ayatollah, which will mean a bit of force, which Trump has already said he would use. That's something to focus on. That's something to be thoughtful about and to engage in. The director of Home Alone 2, unhappy that Trump is popular. Dear Lord, man, just count your money and take a Xanax. I don't know, whatever you take for those things. I'm not really a guy into drugs, so I have no idea. So take something. Doctor prescribed, of course. This is Tony Katz Today. I didn't realize we were back. I had the microphone off and everything. Good to be back. Thank goodness I wasn't doing anything weird. Right there. There's sound. I caught it quick, Dragon. My problem, Bonnie, is I don't care what would happen to DC. This is the point. Isn't this what we voted for? What I voted for. I'll say that. Don't be sorry, Dragon. You're a good man taking care of me. I appreciate it. Pete, no, I had popcorn earlier. I'm not proud of myself. What was I looking for? I was looking for something specific. Oh, that was it. That was it. So I've got Robert F. Kennedy Jr. holding he had a news conference on autism rates. And Jerome Powell is supposed to give economic outlook today. I don't know if he's going to get to it or not. I don't know when he's going to get to it. We will see if we can get that covered or not. Interesting story from the Washington Post, not the Washington Post, the New York Post. I will get to that in a little bit. Of course, you've got questions. I've got answers. And this is the Asylum Psycho. I enjoy this Connecticut. This is a go-to. This is constantly in my humidor. The Oliva V Milano. I need to get some crowned heads in there as an everyday as well. They just went through a bit of a rebrand. So getting rid of basically Mil Diaz no longer being its own brand, but being a sub-brand of Crown Heads, which it was distributed by Crown Heads. So that's kind of interesting. Cornetto's a nice cigar. I like John Huber. I like the work that they do over there quite a bit. I've got some buying to do. And that's why I was going over the cigars earlier, because they were talking about some rare stuff. And this is not so rare, but if you're looking for a good cigar worthy of the $50, that is the Artist Winston Churchill by Davidoff. That cigar is outstanding. That cigar is absolutely outstanding. A yes, a must. Oh, what time is it? It's Von Riest time. That's thank you. Thank you for setting me up there, Pete, right there. Thank you. Appreciate it. Right. That's good stuff. You're hired, kid. Bring it back to the show, Landon. The New York Post has a story. More babies born to women over 40 than teens for the first time in U.S. history. That's fascinating. This, according to the CDC, Tony Katz today, good to be with you. The total number of births in the U.S. declined by 14% between 1990 and 2023. That is a problem. Now, being America, we have a very unique opportunity that no other country has, right? Canada to a lesser extent, but who actually wants to be a Canadian? In order to create American citizens, you can be from anywhere. You just have to be a part of what it is we do over here. You have to do it our way. In order to be Chinese, you have to be Chinese. To be Russian, you have to be Russian. You simply cannot marry your way in, or you cannot buy your way in. It's different. So their population issues don't get as easily solved as ours. That said, a decline in birth rate is a problem. And this is, you could argue, historical, that more prominent societies, more wealthy societies, they end up decreasing birth rates. But during the same time, birth rates among females younger than 20 decreased by 73%. The steepest percentage drop of all age groups. Now, when you realize you're between 1990 and 2023, you're not going through some kind of revolutionary change, industrial change, a change out of agriculture, things like this. This is really a conversation that's fascinating. People decided that family wasn't worth it, or they decided not to have family until they were financially prepared. Or if we're going to argue that it was a women over 30, they were waiting to see where they were in their career, which has pluses and minuses. And in terms of a group over 40, did women think they were missing out? Did they look around them and say, I'm 40, it's now or never? It's 40. What I did with the first years of my life wasn't as important as really the idea of family and a child and that sharing and that love and that moment. I'm curious. In 1990, women over 40 accounted for 1.2% of births. In 2023, 4.1. I want to know the psychology of that. That's where my curiosity is. Interesting story. Getting up birth rates is not a bad idea. So, guys, go to work. Is that how you say it? Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. We're going to take a break right now. And because I'm going to go use a bathroom. Did you need to know that? I don't think you need to know that. I think I'm starting to share too much. That's not good. That can't be. That can't be right. Keep it here, guys. We'll be back in a little bit. Can't thank you enough for being here. Guys, welcome back. Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. That's my name. That's the name of the show. Brought to you by the good people at Von Reist. Watches assembled right here in America, in Indiana, where I live. I am wearing right now their chrono. Come on. Show me. Okay, there it is. The Rudin record. Right there. So these watches, two brothers wanting to explore their German heritage and the watchmaking that they enjoy. Right, everyone's got to have a hobby, and so they do this. They make these watches. This one is a beaut. This is absolutely spectacular. The Hanoverian, the Einheit. They've got a series of watches that you're just going to love. Go to Von Reist, Rieste. Go to vonreist.com and use a promo code CATS and get your discount. You should do that immediately, if not sooner. Your wrist will thank you. Also, be clear, I am a righty. And there's a whole thing about, well, you see, if you're righty, you wear a watch on the left hand. See, what you do is you wear a watch. You this is your dominant hand. You're writing with this hand, but you wear a watch over here. And that way, if you need another time, you look up. You won't interrupt your pen on my quill. That's weird. I wear it on my right hand because that's what I do. I wear it on my right arm. My brother, the good Dr. Katz, he doesn't wear a watch often, also on his right arm. It's natural. This is a much more natural thing to do. Just to let you know, not a lefty. All right, I haven't done the Letitia James story yet. I should be doing that. What else did I miss? Did I do Letitia James yet? I don't think I did. I do not think that I did. Of course, I've got the story regarding Josh Shapiro's home. Let me see if there's anything breaking, because sometimes there's fun audio, and I like to share that because that's who I am. Oh, RFK talking here. Here are the clips. RFK talking about autism. Oh, I want to share that. So we've got a lot. I'm Tony Katz. So glad you guys are here. We do this every day. Although I admit the next couple of days I've got an event and I will not be here, but we still do this. And it's a very good spot to be. And yes, we have cigars. This is the Asylum Psycho that I'm smoking. It's a lovely Connecticut. It works great and lovely. I think it's a flavorful Connecticut, not an easy price point, and I find it to be something that I go to regularly for the show. Meanwhile, producer Landon, he's back at the stations. Let's get this going.
In 2009, the California state legislature charged the Mind Institute at UC Davis because this myth was already becoming pervasive. The myth of epidemic denial was already becoming pervasive in the mainstream media. The California legislature directed the Mind Institute at UC Davis to answer the question. And Irva Hertz-Pichotto is a highly esteemed, revered scientist, neurology, and epidemiologist, came back with a definitive answer. The epidemic is real. Only a very, very small portion of it can be changed to can be charged to better recognition or better diagnostic criteria. I want to say a couple of other things. There are many, many other studies that affirm this. And instead of listening to this canard of epidemic denial, all you have to do is start reading a little science, because the answer is very clear.
This is a conversation about autism from Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And it was a real shock to the system when he was at that cabinet meeting just last week. And he said, I plan, Mr. President, on providing you an answer, a reason for autism by September. Well, okay, then. That's going to be interesting. Tony Katz today. Guys, it's good to be with you. Find everything I do over there at Tony Katz. com. 833-468-8669. 833 got Tony. That's how you get to be a part of the show. Find everything I do at tonykatz.com. I'm not sure how you say by September. Like, I'm not sure how that comes to be. But there's a couple of stories. One saying, RFK Jr. says rising autism rate is alarming and researchers disagree. Autism rate increased, CDC says in report that contradicts RFK Jr. on the cause. That's from the Washington Post. The idea, the conversation starts where the conversation starts. And like all good political and scientific conversations, it starts with Jenny McCarthy. And this is about whether or not vaccines cause autism. And that concept has freaked people out. It's been more than a decade. That concept has 1,000% led people to saying, I'm not vaccinating my kids. I never once said I wasn't going to vaccinate my children. We changed the schedule to how they were vaccinated. We did not ignore vaccinations. Being wary is different than being foolhardy. I believe that. Other parents might see it differently, that avoiding vaccines is not foolhardy, but rather the right thing to do. I'm going to let you raise your kids any way you choose. I am going to discuss data and science, and I'm going to discuss what we know about these things historically, even if that history is recent history over the past 30, 40 years. It's why when people said, I don't want to take the COVID vaccine, I never thought anything of it. I was like, okay, don't. I'm not here to tell you how to live. And I get it. And when people said, well, listen, I'm 62 years old, I'll take it, but I don't think my 23-year-old daughter who might have children one day should take it. No, she shouldn't take it. I'm with you. I think that makes perfect sense. And people who vaccinated their 8-year-old, I've never understood it, and I will continue to never understand it. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., according to a series of reports, is saying that there is an autism epidemic. Others are saying simply that's not the case. This brings us to this conversation that he's having now. I understand that he's a little hard to understand because of the vocal cord issue that he has, but I do want to share it. This just took place today, and I wanted everyone to be on the same page here.
And this is catastrophic for our country. There's a recent study by Blaxel et al. And a team of other researchers that said that the cost of treating autism in this country by 2035, so within 10 years, will be $1 trillion a year. This is added to already astronomical healthcare costs. And then there's an individual injury. These are kids this is a preventable disease. We know it's an environmental exposure. It has to be. Genes do not cause epidemics. They can provide a vulnerability. You need an environmental toxin. And Irva Hertz-Pichoda pointed out that because of this mythology, that the amount of money and resources put into studying genetic causes, which is a dead end, has been historically 10 to 20 times the amount spent by NIH and other agencies to study environmental factors, to study exposures, to study external factors, and that's where we're going to find the answer.
So he is announcing a shift to say that the idea of a genetic marker to autism is not the answer. We've spent the money. There is no connectivity. And as a matter of fact, that isn't how these things move at all. We need to be looking at environmental factors. He referred to the idea of toxins. Not a doctor. I don't know if he's right or if he's wrong, but he continued in this conversation.
This is an individual tragedy as well. Autism destroys families. More importantly, it destroys our greatest resource, which are our children. These are children who should not be suffering like this. These are kids who, many of them were fully functional and regressed because of some environmental exposure into autism when they're 2 years old. And these are kids who will never pay taxes. They'll never hold a job. They'll never play baseball. They'll never write a poem. They'll never go out on a date. Many of them will never use a toilet unassisted. And we have to recognize we are doing this to our children, and we need to put an end to it.
It's, man, he's cutting to the bone right there. There are going to be some people who immediately lash out and say, how dare you? And my child's autistic and can do this and do that. Okay, story time. My younger brother passed away in 2020. It was an illness, not COVID. My younger brother was autistic in a time where no one really understood it. My parents tell the story, now just my mother who would tell this story, that when they, growing up in New Jersey and knowing something was different, seeing something was different with their youngest child, went to this doctor, went to that doctor, and autistic may not have been the word utilized at the time. Basically, your child is mentally disabled, and you'd be better off putting him in an institution. That was the advice given to my parents. That was the advice given to them. My parents told the doctor very lovingly to F off, which if you had ever met my father or if you've ever met my mother, you would know totally happened. Told the doctor right there and then, and set about raising their kids. I grew up differently than other people. I grew up with a brother that you couldn't tease. I grew up with a brother that you had to keep an eye out for. I grew up with a brother where the sensibility was different. And I grew up with a mother who forced school systems to educate him and pushed for finding the places and the people and the opportunity. And when it became time for him to be a bar mitzvah, my mother, who had never been bat mitzvah, they did it together. That's where I come from. No part of it is easy. And I got to go on with my life and go to school, and then school didn't work out. And I did this and found my wife and built a family. And my parents continued to raise their son in their home, not in an institution. Those conversations of where was he going to live would come as they got older and like, well, what do we do here? Now we have to do some planning. My brother and I knew that stepping up was going to be the plan. We never thought twice about it. And then sadly, tragically, I guess, depending on how you say these things, he got sick. And it is odd to think that he was absolutely verbal. It didn't dawn on him, it seems, to say to my mother, hey, this is different. Whatever it is that's happening to me, this is not a cold. This is different. I feel really bad. And you wonder whether or not the illness killed him or the autism did. Couldn't verbalize the extent of the not feeling well. Maybe if there had been more verbalization, maybe there had been more explanation, more, there could have been help earlier. You can drive yourself crazy with that. You can really put yourself into a level of torture that is hard to comprehend. But it is interesting to hear RFK Jr. discuss this as an epidemic and really getting into the idea of what he calls epidemic denial. And his argument is we are doing this to our kids. We are doing this to ourselves because we're not honest about what it is we're dealing with to begin with.
And within 3 weeks, and probably we're hoping in 2 weeks, we're going to announce a series of new studies to identify precisely what the environmental toxins are that are causing it. This has not been done before. And we're going to do it in a thorough and comprehensive way. And we're going to get back to with an answer to the American people very, very quickly.
Now, the question is, who is opposed to this? I said the words, this is not the guy I wanted to be the Secretary of Health and Human Services. He is way too left. His whole history is, and I didn't want that in a position of power. And I still have tremendous concerns. But this is about rethinking entirely how we approach something. And on that, I want to see what they do. According to the CDC, 1 in 31 American kids is diagnosed as autistic by the age of 8. 1 in 31. One in 31 seems like an insanely high number. So in this statement, Kennedy is talking about this unrelenting upward trend, calling it a preventable disease. And it's saying, as you heard, we know that it's an environmental exposure. It has to be. In every way, I want them to be right. In every single way. I think the most honest thing to do is to recognize that if your kid has autism, if your brother has autism, they're still your kid and they're still your brother and there's still love and there's still opportunity, and you do all the best to try and create as normal of a life as possible. Now, someone's going to say that somehow I'm being offensive of this. I want to tell those people right now, you can go to hell. I said what I said. I lived the experience. And even if I hadn't, I'd still be right. Just because I had an experience doesn't make me an expert in it. I don't claim an expertise in the cause of autism. I will not be told how to have the conversation about it. And I'm not interested in someone else being insulted. People look to be insulted all the time. It would be better if your kid wasn't autistic. It's not a blessing. Your child, that's a blessing. Autism, not a blessing. I do not know if Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is correct. I do not know if this is an environmental exposure that causes this issue. What I know is I'm willing to see what they try, what they look at, what they discuss, what data they share, so we can all look at it and people can make up their minds for themselves. I wish them all the success in the world, and in many ways thankful they're having a conversation this honest. We got to look at the thing differently. Maybe we'll find a better result. Less kids with autism is a better result. I'm Tony Katz. Guys, welcome back. I don't know where Sarah is today. Sarah's got a job to do. She can't just be in here entertaining you. That's what I'm here for. My God, Sarah runs all our digital work and very often is in the chat room and doing chatty things. Aaron, I appreciate your take on this. I especially appreciate you sharing your experience. It's a bit out of character for you to share such personal details. I am a weirdly for like a public guy for radio. I'm a weirdly private cat. That is very true, Aaron. That is exceptionally true. I don't know why. Part of my problem in sharing the personal things, it's not that it's personal. It's that a personal story doesn't make an argument true or false. I am, it's the wrong word. All right. I was going to say I'm personally offended and everybody's offended. So I don't want to use that. I am, I find it weak. I find it gross when people say, Tony, you shouldn't smoke cigars. My uncle died of lung cancer. I'm sorry to hear that, but that's not an argument. That's not an argument for why I shouldn't smoke cigars or other people shouldn't smoke cigars. What if your uncle never smoked? What if he smoked unfiltered cigars that he rolled in his basement that was filled with toxic mold? I don't know. I never met your uncle. But you don't get to say to me, I can't have a cigar because something bad happened to you. You can't have X because somebody else, something bad happened to them. It's not an argument. So it's not like, oh, this happened with my brother, so therefore I have an expertise. It's not an expertise. It's just a story. And I think people utilize those arguments as crutches to being able to have some kind of moral superiority, and that's not it. I want the argument to exist, the idea to exist based on its own merits and rise and fall in that way. So I don't often like to bring in the story part. But I got to admit, though, it's been 5 years, and I don't think I've shared that on air like that. It's been 5 years. That's what kind of hit me as I was doing it. As I'm talking, it's like, oh, wow, that's right there. Anyway, Aaron, thanks. I appreciate the note. Let's get back to the radio show. Judge Boasberg, round 2. Good gosh. Judge Boasberg was the judge who said that President Trump couldn't use the Alien Enemies Act. And then the Supreme Court said, well, of course you can. Well, now this judge saying that he has found probable cause to hold the Trump administration in contempt for failing to return the planes deporting migrants to El Salvador. You mean illegal immigrants and Tren de Aragua gang members from Venezuela? Okay, hold them in contempt. Have a nice day. In the 48-page opinion, Fox News with the reporting, Boasberg said the court had ultimately determined that the Trump administration's actions on the March 15th deportation flights demonstrate a willful disregard for the court that is sufficient for the government to be found in criminal contempt. And he will refer the matter for potential prosecution. This seems to be, and the lawyers will get into this, wouldn't we argue that the point is moot? If the Supreme Court said that the Alien Enemies Act can be utilized because the president did make the proclamation of invasion. You don't need Congress to declare war. You need the president to make a proclamation. Well, then he was right in his action. And he didn't not follow the judge's order. The planes were already in the air. They were already there. There was no way to turn them around. With that, I'm not sure what happens here. What I believe is going on here is the lawfare continues apace. That would seem more accurate in this case. This is Tony Katz today. Find everything, TonyKatz.com. Now, I don't want to do this to you. It's because I love you, boo-boo. I always have. See, I don't like doing that because it shoots the hair right out. It's a problem. I have to go. I know. It's early today. Now, next couple days, I'm out of pocket. I've got the big event going on tomorrow that we're going to be preparing for, and then Friday I just have a scheduled day to I don't know, smoke cigars and sleep all day. I'm going to sleep, eat steak, smoke, sleep, eat. It's basically. It's going to go like that. But back on Monday, Andrew Langer is in the radio seat on Thursday. Kira Davis, if you don't know Kira, you should. She's here on Friday. And I appreciate you guys being here, being part of what we do. Greatly appreciate it. Got to run. Got to go do the thing. More radio to do, get some other stuff done. And sometimes it means the camera has got to go off. Follow, subscribe in all of the places if you would. I'd greatly appreciate it. Get over there to everything we've got going on. And you can always go to TonyKatz.com, and you should. You should. Cool stuff is happening over there. Guys, I appreciate you. Why is Bonnie putting up her weight? What did I miss? I'm like, all right, guys, I got to go. And all of a sudden, Bonnie's like, I'm 5'3" and 104 pounds. Did this become Tony Tinder? What the heck? What are you guys doing out there? By the way, Bonnie, pictures or it didn't happen. Wait, am I allowed to say that? I can't say that? Never mind, Bonnie. I don't think I'm allowed to say that. And now people are just this show is weird. That's what I'm learning. Hold on a second. Bonnie is 76? Bonnie, you're 76? Good on you. Riding your bike 10 miles a day. That's that is impressive. That is impressive. If I had the time to ride my bike 10 miles a day, I wouldn't. Just honest. Guys, I appreciate you. I got to run. Don't forget to find everything at TonyKatz.com. I am back on the live stream on Monday. The radio show continues now at WIBC.com. And, of course, the rest of this week. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you. Catch you later.